Welcome to Hell, or should I say the Underworld, because today we will be meeting the ruler of the dead himself, the Greek god Hades. Hades, in Greek mythology, is the god of the underworld and the ruler of the dead. He is one of the three sons of the Titans Cronus and Rhea, and brother to Zeus and Poseidon. While Zeus rules the sky and Poseidon governs the sea, Hades presides over the realm of the dead, a shadowy and grim domain beneath the earth. His name is often associated with the underworld itself, sometimes referred to as Hades as a whole. Despite his dark realm and his feared reputation, Hades is not inherently evil. He is a god of order and justice, ensuring that the souls of the departed receive their due according to their lives. He may have a bitter, dark disposition, but wouldn't you? If you were banished to the dark nether realm by your gregarious younger brother, having to be around annoying, wailing human beings, crying out in fear on their way to judgment all the time. Even gods succumb to their surroundings, but Hades is probably the most humanized, logical, and halfway understanding, because he knows the plight of the human and knows our souls, maybe even better than we do. He is often depicted as stern and unyielding, but not malicious. Hades is also known for his role in the myth of Persephone, whom he abducts to be his queen. Though their union is initially one of force, it eventually leads to a deeper bond, and Persephone becomes the queen of the underworld, spending half of each year there, which explains the seasonal cycles. Hades is also the god of wealth, as the earth's mineral treasures, such as gold and silver, are found within his domain. Despite his prominence in Greek mythology, Hades was not widely worshipped compared to other gods like Zeus or Apollo, largely because of his association with death and the afterlife. Nonetheless, he plays a vital role in the balance of the cosmos, maintaining order in both life and death. Now that we know who we are dealing with, let's look at a few powerful quotes about the nature of life and death from Hades himself. Of course, we cannot quote a god-like being with accuracy, but these quotes will be taken from some of the closest representations of what Hades could appear as, if manifested in the real world. We will look at Hades' evolution in the Titans movies, how he goes from an arrogant, all-powerful ruler of the underworld to a more humanized portrayal, as his immortality turns fleeting. Our first quote is, "You are specks of dust beneath our fingernails. Your very breath is a gift from Olympus. You have insulted powers beyond your comprehension." This quote is spoken by Hades when he makes his ghastly appearance in the royal court of Argos. He could not sit back any longer, as these petty humans insult him and his kind. Queen Cassiopeia makes an outlandish statement that humans are the gods now, meaning that it is man's time to shine and rule. Hades took such offense that he revealed himself, showing his power by rapidly aging the arrogant queen in an instant. This shows what we all believe a dark god of hell would sound like. But even though he may be arrogant, he seems to have the right to be. Hades comes across this way, but he is actually a very fair and undiscriminating god, just like death itself. Death does not care if you are rich or poor. It will come after you, if it is your time. If there are truly gods among us, this is how I believe they would act, because we are their creations, their playthings to do with as they please, and in all fairness, it is the benevolent gods who would espouse this sentiment the most. The ones who claim to be for the betterment of mankind. Gods like Hades actually seem to need man, and he seems to pity us as a species. He does not need our souls to keep going. He merely acts as a steward of them, so we can find our way in the afterlife. No wonder he is bitter. In contrast, the other gods, such as his brother Zeus, king of the gods, along with the others on Olympus, need human beings to retain their immortality. They need our worship to keep that godlike glow. And when we start to lose faith, is when they start to grow dull. This is insane to think about, because it shows we actually have some power. The gods have the physical might over us, but we have the ability to nullify them with our disbelief. This quote shows how God probably views human beings. Like a kid with an ant farm, like an absentee landlord, merely having fun with us, but then growing bored with our trivialities. I am not making a judgment. I am simply a man who judges by actions. If there was a being capable of creating the entire universe, you would think he would be able to make our lives be filled with just a little less suffering. There can be an argument made that if gods truly exist, then they hate us. That is the only conclusion that can be drawn here. Allowing the slaughter of innocents, worshippers, like it is going out of style, while giving the same footing to the most evil of men. It goes to say that if we are God's chosen people, then I would rather be passed over and ignored, because his attention seems to bring death on a grand scale to his chosen people. These are all just existential thoughts and tangents meant to provoke thinking, not offend anyone's beliefs, because I do admire the ability to believe in something that you cannot see or prove exists. I believe it comes down to personality. If you are a naturally skeptical person, then you need to see to believe, and in this case, it is like waiting for God. You will be waiting forever. Hades puts us in our place with this quote, but it does not seem to be in an evil way. It seems to just be a very pragmatic, matter-of-fact statement in the way he says it. This quote makes me think of another quote where Hades' pompous attitude towards humans is on full display. He is playing captor of his brother Zeus, and he says, "You're sweating like a human, brother. Next it will be tears." This honestly reiterates my point. He sees us as weak, emotional, and easily defeated. He definitely has us figured out though. Human beings are nothing if not emotional, fragile beings, inside and out. And who to know better than a God who sees our true auras in our most vulnerable embrace? These next quotes sum up the plight of a God when he knows his immortality is coming into question. It is a humorous thing to see the arrogance of a being, and then the next minute, he is feeling exactly what he was espousing towards humans. So sure of his immortality, Hades comes before the demigod Perseus for one last assault, and utters confidently, "I am a god, I will live forever." He is then struck back to the underworld by a sword imbued with Zeus's master bolt, sending Hades shooting back towards hell. Immortality must be one hell of a crutch. If you know that you have countless years to do whatever you please, then you can use that as an excuse forever, literally. But Hades begins to see his own immortality start to fade before his eyes as we segue into his reluctant next words. It is a time of great upheaval in Greece, where the people are sick of the abuse from the gods and are toppling temples and denying them of our precious love, prayer, and worship, thus starving them to dust. Hades is coming clean to his captive brother Zeus when he says, "You want me to say it, brother? You want me to say I'm afraid? Doesn't that go without saying? When mortals die, their souls go somewhere. There's no place where gods go when they die. There's nothing, just oblivion." Also, showing his fear and maybe a bit of envy towards mankind by saying, "When your precious humans die, at least their souls go to another place. When a god dies, it isn't death. It's just absence. It's nothing. It's oblivion. It's oblivion." It seems Hades has realized his crutch is on its last leg, just like an addict on his last hit, having to free his father Kronos, so he can keep his last bit of immortality. This is a very desperate act, and we can see a very human-esque fear in the voice of death himself. He is going through the stages of grief, and this is the acceptance phase, while still harboring anger, fear, and denial. This is why I chose to examine the versions of Hades from the Titans movies, because there is an evolution there, not just the typical one-note Charlie, Dark Ruler vibes. Also, in these movies we can see that the gods truly just look like humanoid beings with advanced technology and powerful forms. It would make sense, giving deference to the ancient alien theory. This gives us insight that so-called gods in polytheistic religions like Greek, Roman, Egyptian, and Hinduism could be nothing more than otherworldly conquerors, posing as deities. Our ancestors would know no better, and I could not blame them. But in our world today, where the powered being mythology permeates and saturates our screens, we had better be a bit wiser with thousands of years of history to learn from. Of course that is not the case, but it is simply a matter of faith. I doubt most people who believe in God or gods actually believe that there is a magical sky wizard or powered beings in the sky, but you would be surprised. Is there a correlation between blind faith and low intelligence? I believe that if there is this notion of God, that it is far too grand to put in our tiny human box. I believe God is everything that has ever lived and died in the cosmos, a sort of push and pull on the universe, somewhat akin to the Force in Star Wars. That would make more sense to me than a sky puppeteer pulling our strings, sending our souls to a land of fire based on our bad deeds, or a land of luxury based on our good ones. I believe these are simply genius methods of human control, because as we know, fear is a powerful motivator, and if people believe that they are going to the lake of fire if they are bad during life, then they will step in line more often than not. Hades finally reaches his apotheosis and says, "All my power is spent. Who knows? I might be stronger without it." He realizes that he is now human, or something right above it. And this is why I love how Wrath of the Titans makes Hades such a redemptive, endearing character. Teaming up with his brother Zeus to save mankind, destroy their father, in what could be one of the most powerful, fist-raising scenes. Absolutely loved it. He becomes the people's champion, still having enough power to stick around, fueling mankind's fires from the shadows for millennia to come. What can be learned from this journey of the being who watches us all take our long trip across the river Styx and into the nether regions of the underworld, waiting our turn to pay the piper and be judged for our life's sins? I believe we can take this and apply it toward powerful people. We can see that no matter how much money or influence a person has, it can be fleeting, and if lost completely, can help turn you into a stronger, more understanding being. It is literally the adaptation of the human psyche, portrayed in the form of a god. A man is arrogant, thinks he is invincible as he wields his power and control. He then goes through trials and tribulations and finds out how the other half lives, turning him into a more complete being with empathy and dignified restraint. If I was going to worship a god, it would be death, truth, and time, because all three are twin brothers of different mothers and are the only real gospel we can count on to always be on point. Thank you for watching. It is always a pleasure exploring these tangents in hopes of expanding our minds and giving meaning to the stopwatch known as life. So, when it is time to remove your cloak of invisibility and reveal yourself to your chosen god of death, remember the not-so-immortal words of Hades. You laugh as if you had a choice. There is no choice.